Hi, my name's Karen and I'm from Belfast in the north of Ireland. In September 2006, my husband Gavin and I were so happy to find out that we were pregnant, and our son James was so excited to find out that he was going to have two siblings. It was twins. We were a little bit worried. My brother and his wife's baby girls died shortly after birth. They were identical. This was not TTTS related.
Hi, my name is Michelle. On the 5th of January 2006, I gave birth to my daughters Rebecca and Lucy, who were stillborn. Because they had TTTS, twin-to-twin transfusion syndrome. They were born at 28 weeks, and neither of them made it.
Hi, my name is Kendra Kirk. My twin sons, Jesse and Waylon, were born at 22 and a half weeks on March 12, 2007. I had no idea that they had TTTS until after they were born.
My name is Rochelle, and my twins, Dylan and Logan, were diagnosed with twin-to-twin transfusion syndrome at 15 weeks gestation. At the time of our diagnosis, we lived across the country from where we do now, and we were away from our family, and we were just two 20-year-old kids that had the excitement of having twins. And then we were given a diagnosis that seemed pretty scary.
Hello, my name is Andrea. I'm from Minneapolis, Minnesota. I am the mother of twin girls who were born sleeping on October 28, 2007.
By 19 weeks, I was massive. I couldn't walk. I wore a support belt and I had to use crutches to help me get around. Every time I contacted my doctors or the hospital, I was told that I was just big because I was having twins. And take paracetamol, Karen, if you're in pain. At 23 weeks, we went for a scan and we were told that we had TTTS and that we needed to go to St. George's in England as soon as possible. Couldn't understand what they meant. We were told that our twins were non-identical. All the medical professionals told us that. After her horrendous journey to St. George's, I was diagnosed with stage 3, and our only option was to have amnio reduction and laser surgery. I had 3.5 litres of fluid removed and the laser surgery. The next day we were told that Oren, our smaller twin, had died, and that Dara, our bigger twin, needed a blood transfusion. This was done the next day, and we were discharged and sent back to Belfast. It was a horrendous flight back home because I was so worried that my waters would break on the flight back home. I woke the next day and I just knew that my twin had gone. Both of them were together. A mother just knows. I delivered our perfect little boys, Dara and Oren, on the 2nd of March 2007. This was the day that I became a new person.
It was a total shock because I didn't know that anything was wrong in the pregnancy. TTTS wasn't diagnosed until the post-mortem. So it was 3 days after my 24th birthday, and I already had a son who wasn't even 2 yet. None of my friends had started their families. They certainly hadn't been through anything like losing a baby or babies. And I just felt completely lost. I felt like life wasn't real. I didn't know who I was anymore. I couldn't trust anything. And I needed information. I needed to understand what happened so that I could start to heal and move on with my life. I genuinely feared I was going to lose my mind.
I went to the doctor on Monday morning because I started having some pains throughout the night on Sunday. I was 5 centimeters dilated and had no idea. The doctors did everything they could to stop the labor, but my little boys arrived that afternoon. We only had a few short hours with them. Their lungs just were not developed enough to even try to save them. My doctor mentioned shortly after they were born that he was pretty sure that they had TTTS, which at that point was something that I had never heard of.
At the time, we left the appointment and we were given all of these pamphlets, and I remember going home and Googling twin-to-twin transfusion syndrome and feeling really scared and lost. And I came across the Twin-to-Twin Foundation, and I immediately sent a message to Mary. I can't remember if I emailed her or if I called her, but she got back to me right away. And, I talked to her, and she encouraged me to use the message boards. And I remember not using them. I remember not utilizing them when I was pregnant. I did not utilize them. I didn't look at them until after our twins were stillborn.
This is an excerpt from my Christmas letter that year. In June, we found out we were going to be parents. In July, we were shocked to find out we were doubly blessed. In October, we were upset to find out that our healthy, identical girls were threatened with twin-to-twin transfusion syndrome. An ultrasound revealed TTTS and a thinning cervix. I was immediately admitted to the hospital for a cerclage and observation. The week I spent in the hospital, I prayed that God would do what was best for our daughters. Our hearts broke when they were born sleeping on October 28th. Olivia Ann was born at 12:30 in the morning and was 14 ounces, 10 inches. Julia Evangeline was born at 12:36 a.m. at 1 pound, 10.5 inches. They are forever warm and safe, resting in Jesus' loving arms until the day we can hold them again. They are loved and missed, and we are so proud to be their parents. Even now, my mother's heart aches to have them with me, but I trust that God knows better than I what they need. Even after 13 years, it's still hard to say their names, but we do so because we know that they are very much a part of us. Part of this grieving journey was also therapeutic because I found blessings in my grief.
I promised them that no matter what, I would educate people on TTTS and the impact that it has on families. But first, I needed to support and help myself. I did find support from local bereavement platforms. However, none of these platforms knew the extent of how I was feeling. Losing one baby is hard enough, but losing two, it's just unimaginable. After searching the web, I found the TTTS Foundation and I contacted Mary. Through the foundation, I plucked up the courage to write my first post. It was on the bereavement thread. And it was, "Help me, please help me." And the rest is history. Within a few weeks, I had a network of support from all around the world. I couldn't believe that somebody else at that exact moment was going through the same feelings as I was. I talked to some amazing and supportive women, but 4 in particular just got me. Their names were Kendra, Rochelle, Andrea, and Michelle. And guess what? Michelle only lived 2 hours away from me.
And so I went looking for information about this condition that I had just learned of. TTTS. 2006. Dial-up broadband. I used to sit in the corner of the bedroom and wait for the pages on the internet to load, like this, line by line. And I found Mary's website, TTTS Foundation's website, where I could at least get an explanation of what had happened, physically what had happened, about donor and recipient twins, about the logistics of what had happened, and it did help. That's part of how I started to recover from grief, was just having some answers to those unknowns. The other big thing at that time was how lonely it was. The people that I could normally turn to, my support network, my family, my friends, my partner, now my husband, they were hurting too, and I didn't want to burden them with any more pain. And no one had any answers anyway. Grief is just there. And the only people that could possibly understand are women who went through the same. So I didn't find any joy in knowing that other people were in pain, but I found some comfort in the fact that I wasn't alone. And I used to read the message boards and think how brave they were to tell their stories, that strangers like me, thousands of miles away, could read. I wasn't brave enough at that time to post anything. I think part of it was that I couldn't write it and admit it to someone else and make it all the more real. For whatever reason, I didn't post my story there. And I just read other people's, and I got information about the disease and could also follow how people were coping in the days and months after losing both twins. And then one day I noticed somebody post a few months after I'd lost my twins, maybe a year after, and her username was Irish Mummy. And I can still remember the feeling I had the day I saw Irish Mummy, and her twin boys were Dara and Oren, beautiful Irish names. And I thought, wow, I'm not the only one here. I was led to believe that. And I reached out to her and said, "Are you in Ireland?" And she said, "Yeah, I'm in Belfast," which is 2 hours from where I am. And just the thoughts that there was somebody that I might actually sit, have a cup of coffee with, who'd been through the same thing, it just made me feel like, okay, I'm actually on the same planet. This is not some alternate life that I have to go through completely alone. So we messaged a lot about what had happened, how we'd managed the pregnancy. Karen had known her twins had TTTS before they were born. I didn't. She'd been flown to England for surgery. I didn't know anything until I just went into premature labor. So our experiences were a little bit different. And then she said that she had been talking to some other mothers on the same website who had lost twins around the same time as she lost hers. I was a year ahead in terms of what had happened, but I wasn't a year ahead in terms of grief. I had just been lost and frozen for a year. And those messages turned into Skype, turned into Facebook. It evolved, this online relationship.
I quickly turned to the internet, and shortly after, I found the foundation. On May 9th, 2007, that was the first communication that I had with Karen. She had her twin boys just 10 days before mine, and we instantly clicked. We were going through the same emotions at the same time, and it was so good to have somebody to talk to, even though they were an ocean apart, that knew what I was feeling and validated my thoughts, and that I was not going crazy. What I was experiencing was normal. Shortly after, Rochelle and Andrea and Michelle joined our group. I think our babies knew that we needed each other, and brought us together. We continued to talk on the message board, and then eventually moving off the message board and communicating through email, and then Facebook private message. To this day, we have an ongoing private message on Facebook where we pretty much talk daily.
So after we were home from the hospital, I didn't want to see anybody. I didn't want to talk to anybody. I couldn't call anybody. I mean, I just couldn't, like, physically, mentally, emotionally, I could not handle communicating with anybody. And, I mean, I had my husband, and he was amazing. He is amazing. But, I mean, he was dealing with the same things that I was. I couldn't, just constantly be dumping, all of my feelings on him all the time. Which I did anyway. I needed a connection with somebody else that was going through something that I was going through or had already gone through. And so I did finally go onto the twin to twin message boards, and I started, like, a thread, I guess is what they were called at the time, and I was talking to other moms that had walked this road before me, or were going through a similar situation, had lost their children in the same manner that I had. And it's a very strange feeling to to be in this, like, club that nobody wants to be in, but feeling comfort in the fact that you're not alone. You aren't alone, and there's other parents, other moms, other dads that are dealing with the same things that you are. So I don't know who it was that I reached out to first, or if they reached out to me first, but I started talking to this group of women whose twins had passed away around the same time as Dylan and Logan. And I really can't, like, pinpoint when, like, our friendships had started to evolve, and we we moved away from the message boards, and we started emailing, I think, for a while. We were emailing each other, and we moved away from that at some point, and we were on Facebook Messenger, which is actually where we still talk to this day. So Karen, Michelle, Kendra, and Andrea and I were all in this Facebook Messenger group together, and we talk to each other every single day. And I just don't think I could ever put into words how much they mean to me. I have told them this several times. I just don't know where I would be without them. Their friendship means everything to me.
My blessings came from the Twin to Twin Transfusion Syndrome website, where there was a bereavement board. My sister had told me about the bereavement board and asked that I reach out to Mary and try the bereavement board, see if that would help, because I didn't know anybody that had lost a child, certainly not stillborn, and wanted to connect with somebody. On the site, I met many wonderful women who were hurting, even some fathers, much like I was. And there were many sleepless nights that I would get up and I would just need to connect with someone. It was in those reach outs that I had met several women that I connected with more than others. Rochelle, on December 24th, 2007, I find myself sitting here on Christmas Eve thinking of all of you. I have been thinking of the sadness that we've all faced this past year or longer, and how I wish that we all had our precious babies with us. Though I am very sad that we all lost our babies, I am glad that I've gotten to know you all, and that we have been here to help one another down our road of coping and hoping. Even though we have not met face to face, you all are very special to me, and I am thankful for each and every one of you. My response to Rochelle: I can't help but think of all of us fighting to get through a holiday that is meant to give us hope. I have a deeper appreciation for the meaning of Christmas and a great fondness for the moms that understand the difficulties in showing up, putting on the happy face, and facing a holiday that is filled with the laughter and love of family and friends. My very best to all of you, and my prayers for a healthy and blessed New Year. And 13 years later, they are just as much a part of me as friends that I've had a lifetime, because they've helped me heal and to talk about things that are difficult to talk with other people. We have got each other through pregnancies and even some losses, finishing my school career, my BA, and having children. There was a marriage that didn't survive. There were several illnesses in there. There were deaths of family members. And all along, I have known that Karen and Michelle and Kendra and Rochelle were all there for me. We got each other through a lot of things. And here we are 13 years later, and they are friends, not friends that I'm grieving with, but friends that I share frustrations with and catch up with. There is always a thread that we have going on. It's updated almost daily.
We talked day and night about everything. And as Michelle recalls, it was dial-up broadband and crappy internet. But we were always there for each other. And we still are. I'm just going through some posts from the official Twin to Twin Transfusion Syndrome website when I first got some help from Mary. and one of them is dated the 1st of October 2007. And I hadn't been around on the forum for quite some time. I hadn't really been doing too well mentally. So on the 27th of September, I wrote, "I'm sorry that I haven't been on this forum as much as I should be. Thanks to this site, I have made some brilliant friends over the past few months. Women who I know will stay in my life for a very long time. Little did I know. I've been doing okay. It'll be 7 months next Tuesday since the twins grew their angel wings, and I honestly have no idea where the time has gone. Each day does seem to get better. The hurt and the pain is still here, but slowly and bit by bit, I have started to learn to live with my sons not being here with me. I am struggling but trying to accept that they are in a better place. I miss them and I want them so badly that my heart breaks and the pain for them is unbearable. I have reluctantly accepted that what I must do is live with this pain. Lots of love to you all." And Kendra replied, "Just wanted to let you know that I'm thinking of you. I hope tomorrow won't be too rough on you. It's crazy that it has been almost 7 months for both of us. In some regards, it seems like it's been so long since it happened, and sometimes it feels like it was yesterday. I used to think about all of the details every day because I was afraid that I would forget something. Now there is no way that I could ever forget what it felt like to hold them, love them. Take care, from Kendra." As I read through the bereavement support forum, I can see how strong I am. And the last few discussions and things that I had posted on the forum were telling people everything was going to be okay. And things do be okay. Our daily struggles and our ups and downs of life carried on, but one thing was we always kept in touch, and we're all blessed to have rainbow babies. Grace was born 2 years after Darren Orne died. I have such a strong connection with these women. That I knew I wanted to meet each and every one of them in person. But that was going to be difficult because 3 of them lived in America. The first person I met was obviously Michelle because she was only 2 hours away. She was wedding dress shopping in Belfast and it was the perfect time, now or never, to finally give this gift of a woman a hug. That day was like meeting my sister for a coffee and a catch up. There were no nerves, just excitement. Then Kendra and her family decided that they wanted to come to Ireland for a holiday. Kendra, Michelle and I were finally together. In 2015, my family and I went to Florida, and Andrea and Rochelle decided that they would come along too. Dreams come true. And we had the most amazing holiday.
And then Kendra came to vacation in Ireland and stayed with Karen, and we went up with our family and picnicked together, and it was just surreal to meet another person who'd been through the same, who I knew online and was now meeting in person. It was just great. And so there was a group chat then with 5 of us. Karen went to the States and met everyone.
I first met Andrea and Rochelle in December of 2009. I drove 6 hours up to Minneapolis to spend a few days with Andrea, and Rochelle was able to meet us for a few hours that afternoon. In April of 2010, I flew to Ireland and met Karen and Michelle. There was one moment in particular from that trip that I will never forget, and that was standing over her twin son's grave. I was so overcome with emotion, and we stood there and didn't say anything. It was emotion that I've never experienced before. The 4 little boys had brought us together there, and even though we were sad and we were still grieving, I was so happy to be there in that moment. The summer of 2014, my family and I vacationed in Duluth, and we met up with Rochelle and her kids for a day at the aquarium.
I've met Rochelle when she was living down in Arizona, and Kendra, the brave soul that she is, she came to my home in December of 2009 and stayed with me for a few days with her newborn. I guess why it wasn't quite a newborn, but he was new, and I had a baby. Rochelle was flying in from Arizona for Christmas, and she stopped in, so that was the first time I had met 2 of them. Then Karen is the planner. She's the mom of the group, the one that's always planning for everybody. She was planning a trip to Florida. I took vacation time, and my family met her family in Florida. Rochelle came in for a couple of days.
Our daily conversations continued, and in 2017 we decided the 5 of us were going to have the trip of a lifetime, and we did. All 5 of us met up in New York, Michelle and I travelling from Dublin together. Words can't describe the feelings of that trip. It was so emotional. We laughed and we cried, and we laughed and cried some more, and we made the most amazing memories.
And in 2017, so a decade of talking online, all 5 of us met up in New York for the trip of a lifetime. And part of my grief was always about guilt and shame. And I know logically that I have nothing to be guilty or shameful about, but grief will do that to you. And if you told me in 2007, when I found these women, that we'd have a trip to New York and sit on a rooftop with cocktails and laugh, I wouldn't have believed it.
And then September of 2017 was the trip of a lifetime. All 5 of us were able to go to New York City and meet up for the first time ever. That trip was filled with late nights, laughs, crying, hugging, more crying, lots of talking. One afternoon, we were walking through Central Park and came upon a fountain where we stopped to take in the view. In that moment, we heard Tears in Heaven playing. We just stopped. We were all silent, and we knew, once again in that moment, our babies were with us. These ladies are my rock. I would not have grieved and been able to learn to love, to live life again without them.
We talk to each other every single day. I feel like I'm always reaching for the phone to like catch up on a conversation or add something to the conversation. And I just feel really, really lucky to have them in my life. We went on this girls' trip to New York, and it was the first time that we were all together. And it was magical. It was just so amazing to be able to be with them. And we were able to talk and laugh and cry.
The big get together was New York City, and we very much enjoyed each other's company. And as difficult as it was for me, because I am not comfortable outside of my familiar surroundings. There was a lot of apprehension and nervousness, but I was pleasantly surprised to find out that each one of these girls was part of they're just a part of my heart. They really filled in the part that was missing and that really hurt after I lost the girls. And for that, I'm very grateful.
I am so grateful for the Twin to Twin Transfusion Syndrome Foundation for having these message boards, because without them, I never would have met this amazing group of women that I've become such good friends with. And it's all come from this loss, this terrible loss. It's wild. It's crazy to think about. So through this loss, these amazing friendships were born, and I just feel really lucky to have every single one of them in my life. Andrea, Karen, Michelle, and Kendra. They all know how much I love each of them, and I appreciate their friendship so very much. Of course, I wish so badly that Dylan and Logan were here. I wish they were here. But if they were here, I never would have met these beautiful friends that I have. It's just hard to think about sometimes.
I am forever grateful for the TTTS Foundation and for the message board that allowed me to find these wonderful ladies. The work you do, Mary, is amazing. And even though we all may not have had the outcome that we wished for, you made the outcome survivable by providing a forum where we could share our thoughts with other moms who were going through the same thing. If you have experienced a loss of one or both babies recently, I hope this gives you a little glimmer of hope. We are going on 13 years of friendship now, and I still can't believe it's been almost 14 years since I held my baby boys. We have all gone on to have another healthy baby, and my rainbow baby is now 11 years old. Thank you, Mary, for all that you do. I hope our story continues to give you the push to do what you're doing. You and the foundation truly make a difference. I wish you all Merry Christmas.
We're going into 14 years of friendship, and this would not have been possible without Mary at the TTTS Foundation. Mary, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. Thank you for bringing these amazing women and their families into my life and the life of my family. You told me 13 years ago that I will always be the mother of twins, and it's not goodbye, only I love you. Thank you, Mary, for all the amazing work that you do. You saved my life. If you or anyone you know is pregnant with twins, please get them educated on TTTS. My Dara and Oren might not have survived TTTS, but I have. And that's all down to Mary at the foundation and the amazing friends that I have in Michelle, Rochelle, Andrea, and Kendra. Merry Christmas.
Those early days are rough. They're very painful. And I want to promise you that it gets better. It gets better. With good people around you, even if they're thousands of miles away. I found answers on the TTTS Foundation website that I didn't get from doctors. I found comfort and healing from people I never met. I found hope that I could love another baby and be brave enough to be pregnant. I even had another loss after the twins. My next pregnancy was a miscarriage. Life will throw things at you. I learned that I would be able to see twins in the street and not freeze. I learned that I won't wake up every day in the same torture. It gradually, slowly, eventually gets better. There are still, of course, times when grief will just blindside you. Absolutely. Take you down. And that's normal too. 5th of January, 3 days after my birthday. And the Christmas period has never been the same since. Because there's always this build-up. There's knowing that last Christmas, that they were about to pass away. So lights and trees and songs and shopping and food and all the things that kept me so busy and so excited. I've never felt the same since. And that's okay too. At Christmas, it's like everything is amplified. So things that make you happy make you really happy. Things that make you sad make you really sad. So what I've learned through my friendships with Karen and Andrea and Kendra and Rochelle is that that's okay too. We're each other's safe place to say this is not good. This day is not good. Or I can't feel a certain joy at the moment and it will pass. I can't say that we actually do anything specific to fix each other's problems. We don't. That's not what you need. You just need someone to sit through it with you. And that's what we do. Meeting online friends and then eventually meeting in real life. It's not the experience you think it's going to be. Meeting online friends in person is a different experience than I thought it was going to be. It's very easy, very normal, and it's not like something out of a movie. It's just like meeting any friend off an airplane or a train. It's a joyful moment, and then life carries on. So if anyone is making connections through the website and maybe worrying about talking to strangers, we're the good news story. They're some of my best friends, and I never see them, but they're always there. We're always there for each other. Our families have grown since. We've all gone on to have more children. That's been lovely to experience together too, and cheer each other on. Pregnancies after a loss are difficult, mentally and emotionally difficult, and can be physically difficult too, depending on the circumstances. So you need that support there too, someone who understands why you're so anxious, why when you get past the number of weeks your loss happened, that's a big milestone. You're more pregnant now than you were then. How your arms won't be empty anymore, but no one will ever replace that baby or babies you lost, ever. How it's so important that your children's names are said out loud. I have 2 daughters, Rebecca and Lucy. They matter. I've had 5 children, but I have 3 here. That can be difficult for people to understand. And they sometimes won't mention your babies because they think it'll hurt you, when actually leaving them out hurts more. And these women understand and always call them by their names. And I call theirs by their names. And it's so important that someone understands your whole family. So I just want to thank Mary for everything that you've done to help so many people in ways that I don't know if you even understand how much. You've saved lives, because the pain of this could actually be too much to live with for some people. You've made life better. After the worst thing that could ever happen to a woman or a family, you've somehow made it better. To Karen and Andrea, Rochelle and Kendra, you're stuck with me for another few decades. It's just been the best thing that came out of all of this, our friendship. It's the only good thing to come out of all of this. We never would have been in each other's lives only for our 10 babies and Mary. So to anyone who's in those early days, or who's feeling very low about it, there is help there. There is a community there, and you're not alone. And that hope and love will bring it through. I promise. I promise.